me start with the first question, and this is for almost everybody. A 30-minute quick response. 30 second quick response, not 30 minutes. That's how, when you don't have lunch, there is a slip of tongue. I will have it later. And the first, we have around 8 questions, and 2 of them is directed to Virendra Kumar, and 6 of them would be to all the 3, what we can say, panelists out here. And I would request them to give short answers, and we will try to take few questions also from the crowd, from the delegates. So the first is, and this is for all, how do you see the chemical industry evolving in the next decade, and what role do you see for NextGen leaders in this transformation? So 30 seconds, mega viewers.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. One of the things we are seeing I don't want to start the session off, being on the risk side, but one of the things that we're definitely seeing as a risk is the lack of talent. What's happening over the next 10 years is being seen at colleges today. You're seeing the number of engineering students, the shift has gone into IT and software development and all of those spaces, and that's going to be a significant issue maybe in another 3 years, 4 years, once these students start to graduate. And looking at the panel here, looking at what's happening in the industry, the amount of expansion that is going on, this is all going to become a bit of a crunch, in my opinion. Talent is going to become a bit of a crunch. Not just talent, good talent, but the young, energetic talent. So I personally am expecting a significant push into digitization, operations, moving more into automation, supply chains. I mean, on the corporate side, it's still a little bit more stable. There's good amount of talent available, but in production management and operations management, this is the trend I'm seeing in the next 10 years that might be a risk.
Kaushalji, your 30-second view.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back from the lunch. I hope we all will be able to entertain you after the lunch session. If you ask me, the chemical sector is divided into 3 phases post-independence. The first part was a license Raj, where we all were struggling as a country to establish manufacturing sector, but India has developed manufacturing sector, especially the heavy industries. The second part, where the globalization happened post-liberalization, and we were able to compete with the rest of the world. We were trying to establish ourselves. And now, because of the government active participation and support for the manufacturing sector again, industry is reviving and able to compete with the rest of the world, and quality standards of the manufacturing sites and all these are going up. Requirement of compliance is also going on. People are accepting that, okay, to try to the next level, this is important. So that awareness is going up. But the challenge is what Megha has already mentioned about the talent pool and how you create the infrastructure across all the level. And when I mean infrastructure, is not only build the roads or power, but infrastructure of quality manpower, infrastructure of qualitative raw material availability to everything. That's where the challenge is, and it cannot be done by one man or one industry. It has to be a collective effort, and that's where we all have to play a role together.
Mr. Rajiv Shah.
Good afternoon, friends. A very warm welcome after lunch. Thank you to Indian Chemical News for giving us the opportunity to speak here. What Megha and Kaushal told is perfectly true. However, I like to put it that, Narendra Modi has done a great job by putting India on a global map. And I think we have a good opportunity, especially in the field of specialty chemicals. We come from the specialty chemical side, wherein, we do see a lot of advantage compared to other countries. And I think if we play our role right, I think the opportunity is immense for the next decade. Definitely talent is a very important factor we can't ignore. But if we educate the young generation and if we can pull in the right talent, I think the opportunity is immense. And I would encourage a lot of young people, these days they go to US, they study, they don't come back. So I tell everybody, India is a huge opportunity and you take the best of the education, but come back and make India a global hub of specialty chemicals. Thank you.
Virendra, your 30 seconds, how do you see from an infrastructure perspective chemical industry evolving in the next decade?
Yeah, sure. So I will stick to your 30 seconds. I understand it's initial of the after the lunch. So namaste everyone. So how, my co-panelists have spoken about the talent basically. So I will give you an overall perspective. So India's chemical industry has been a global outperformer in demand growth. So this is about the demand. Similarly, I think in the recent past years, because of the geopolitical scenarios, the India is going to overtake China as well, whether be it in the specialty chemicals, inorganic, fertilizers, or petrochemical. So I think the opportunity is immense, basically. And it's just that, people from all walks of life, in terms of the industry player and as a park developer where we are in the Dahej, or the consultants, if there is a synergy between all of us, I think opportunity is immense. And you will see, I think the chemical industry is one of the fastest moving industry across the globe, not only in India. Thank you.
Thank you, Virendra ji. Now my second question is, I was just looking at the hall and the delegates, and I can only spot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not more than 10 women out here. So this is a big question mark, and I think you are all young generation, so I could not have asked the grandfathers and the fathers, but I'm very comfortable with you all. So I'm asking this very pertinent question. It has traditionally been male dominated, but efforts to promote diversity and inclusion are gaining traction. How is your company approaching these issues, and what do you think is the business case for diversity and inclusion in the industry? Somebody in one of the forums was taking that chemical is not glamorous. So I'm asking a very simple question. The gist of it is, how are you planning to make this industry glamorous, that diversity issue is being taken care? And this is for all the three. So please, Rajiv.
Just to share our thoughts, what we at Sauradeep are doing, I think what you say is true, but we have seen in the last, I think, 5 to 8 years, in fact, if you see, women have a very balanced approach because they have to manage the household, whatever said and done. In India, still, we have to accept the reality that they still have to have the burden. So we have seen that they have a very balanced approach, and when it comes to stress management or mental health being, I think they have taken a lead role. So at our company, we have put women in a lot of roles like R&D, finance, and these are the roles where they are happy to take because there's not much of traveling involved because they have other responsibilities. At Sauradeep, we have a ratio of around 35% women, which is, industry standards pretty good. And we are trying to see that they are more driven, in fact, whenever we take interview. So especially in the field of finance and R&D, this is what our observation is. And I think industry can benefit from that approach,
I was talking to Gitali Thakur of Givaudan. She was one of the speakers out there. And she takes care of, she's the HSC regional director at Givaudan. And she was saying that even in the EHS role in, say, countries in and around Southeast Asia, women are very active there. It's not that it's a male dominated and they cannot do the job. But somehow the working conditions need to be improved, and that will be taken care of. So Kaushal, same question. But I just thought of adding my 50 cents to it.
Answering to this question, as you put us as a next generation leader, so we are, I don't want to tell how old I am, but we are recently graduated from the chemical engineering batches. Surprisingly, most of the girls who are in our batch now has opted chemical engineering as their professional career.
But
Reasons
you are
can be-
very smart. I think they would have, seeing you, they would have opted for it.
We can take it off the record. So why they are not opted? Okay, that's a separate question. But when I've interacted them, the question was that we don't like to work in the heavy industry. So my debate was always to them that if you don't work in the heavy industry, then you know when you join the chemical engineering, that this industry cannot be glamorous from day one. But having said that, if I can share my experience at Make Money Fine Chem, that IFC has recognized us as one of the leading chemical company globally who has given a lot of empowerment to employment to women. And I will be happy to share also that in our DCS room and also at the Make My Fine complex, there are many young female engineers are working even today. In R&D also, in the lab also, at the plant also, across all the level. So ultimately, we as a management to thrive on the survival of fittest or find the best talent instead of looking at the gender. And if we go from that perspective, then definitely more and more female will come on board. That's the most important thing way to look at it.
Meghav, your views?
So I think, specifically on women empowerment, we're also taking a lot of effort, not that the diversity isn't there, but we are having a more proactive approach to it. And, we have teams that are, cross-functional teams, both men and women who are working on this concern, how to have more representation, have more equal representation. From the talent acquisition standpoint, there is a supply-demand gap. There is nothing that we are saying that we particularly want to pick men over women. That's just not the case. We will want to get the best person that we can find. The problem is that, yes, as Kaushal mentioned, that it's becoming difficult. I mean, we're not, we can't promote at the education end of it, right? So the other way that we're looking at it is to understand that, yes, when majority of women in India go through that period of motherhood, there is that second innings of the career that they may be interested in once their kids grow up. So is that a talent pool that we can try and attract and bring back into the workforce? That extended gap of having to take care of kids at least up till the age of 15, maybe 16, 17, is a significant gap. But there's a lot of very easily transferable skills in the corporate side of things, as well as in the plants and the factories, right? But there is a lot of social pressure also, like why do you want to go so far? Why do you want to go and work in factories? Now these are, social stigmas that we are having to work against. But I would like to share that from our side, we're looking at, diversity, equity, inclusion from a much larger perspective. It is not just about gender. We've re-evaluated our entire infrastructure standards. We very recently adopted a school in Baroda, very close to our headquarters. The school, was built to cater to differently abled kids who didn't have a home, or their homes were not able to take care of them. The buildings were really old, and we decided to build a new building for them, a new academic center for them. Now, in the process, the architecture team, they went through understanding what the needs are of each of the kids, and they realized that, actually the buildings that are there right now, they don't have ramps, they don't have handrails, they don't have braille signs, they do not have a lot of things which were otherwise, that you would expect for people with, difficulties. And when they did this entire study, we realized that this should just be our new standard. So now every admin building of ours in all of our factories are being revisited to understand, do we have ramps? Can wheelchairs be accessed? Are there washrooms large enough for the wheelchairs to be accessible? Other than just the jobs, right? So we are saying that we are shifting our systems to open up and accommodate these special needs, as and when the supply and the demand gap does get bridged, is when we will really be able to get the benefit of it. But from our side, from our hearts, we're open, we're looking forward to it.
Now, coming to the next question to all three of you. As NextGen leaders, what leadership qualities do you think are particularly important for success in the chemicals industry? And how are you developing these qualities both within yourself and with the team that you are working?
I think one of the qualities I would say definitely is innovation, because today the world is changing very fast and all of us need to innovate. And we at Savaradeep have a very customer-centric approach because we are mainly into performance chemicals, wherein we try to understand the needs of the consumer and then reverse engineer based on that what the needs are. But definitely innovation is a routine, and it's not we have to develop it. It's a continuous day-to-day kind of affair, and I think that is the first thing where we believe that we as a country, we as a company need to innovate, because India is still known on the world scale as a more of a, some country which can copy things. We are still not known as an innovator. And I think if all of us work in that direction, yeah, a lot of companies are doing a lot of new stuff, and there is a huge potential. So first is innovation. I think then next would be empathy. So we need to be, think about the human relation aspect, the softer skills. Although we have a lot of digitization coming in, but finally we need manpower to handle it. And I think empathy is a very important area. If we can put as a priority in the company, that's we feel it's a significant area. And the third is trust factor. If you deal with a company in India, people sometimes feel, okay, you deliver it thrice well, fourth time it will not be delivered. So it's like, okay, it's Japan, made in Japan, people don't check the quality. So if we can build that trust, okay, if it's, it may take time. All companies need to work together to build that brand. But I think that trust, if we can develop, I think we have a huge potential. So I would rate these three parameters as, where we are focusing. Thank you.
Kaushal, your views?
I think the important view is that we all, whether in the industry you talk about or Indians you talk about, we have to come off this view of chalta hai, which is very common in our day-to-day life. Chalta hai. Event hai, आधा घंटा late hai, chalta hai. Delivery bola hai, 10 दिन chalta hai, right? That's typical our Desi mindset. And I'm also part of that culture. So it's not that I'm telling you everyone and I'm something different, but I'm also part of that culture. So when we think that we want to make India as a 5 trillion economy, or we want to make India as a global hub for just chemical manufacturing, when you come China plus one strategy and all, okay, that's one side. But the bottom line is that we collectively have to rise ourselves to the next level. We have to think globally. And we have to work as per the global standards. And global standards are like punctuality, quality, services. And you can't compromise on those aspects, no matter what you do. Someone shared with me this incident many years back, is that, yes, we do criticize about China on many aspects when it comes to quality. But when it comes on the delivery and punctuality, they are always there. And when I compare with India, you're always nodding head, which is wobbling head, so I don't know whether yes or no. And your 7 days can become 15 days very easily. And that's where I struggle. Although we have a very high trust factor with Indians, but when it comes to delivery, that part is not getting there. So this transformation is very, very important that we have to do if we are looking at the next level for the growth of the industry. We all have grown and have put a very strong foundation. So I always say that we are very thankful to our fathers or grandfathers, who have gone through the pain of independence and the license Raj and all. And now that foundation is there to take India to the next level. But if we don't change our own small little habits, it's not going to come. So when we talk about globalization, that has to be in our culture, in our talk, and it has to translate all the way to the bottom of the pyramid. And for that, we have to give a lot of training and awareness to our people. Thankfully today, because of data is available to everyone, people are looking at YouTube or all those streaming channels and all. So yes, they know where the world is. Now if we just connect those dots smartly, then definitely next generation will belong to India in terms of manufacturing or even in the chemical sector.
Make up your views.
So for the longest time, I used to think that middle management was the hardest job, but I feel like since the pandemic, I would say middle management and senior management leadership roles I would say they share the stage in terms of how hard things can be. I think in the last at least 3 years, the biggest concern has been change management, changing our working styles, changing the styles in which our teams have to work, how they have to manage people, bringing in new technology, phasing out projects that are not working. That requires a high level of agility. It requires a good amount of understanding of how to kind of move teams along with you to deliver on any kinds of initiatives, digital or otherwise. Another thing that is becoming a strong requirement for leadership is this partnering mindset. Designing and developing ecosystems for your supply chains. Not to look at customers and suppliers, it's actually everyone's a partner. And the leaders who are succeeding in all of this are ones who have a good high amount of empathy from themselves, a good amount of self-awareness, how to lead teams, and this partnering mindset to look at kind of win-win situations in as many conditions as possible. Of course, opportunistic, mentality will always it'll always look good on the books, but it's not it's not necessarily the most sustainable strategy to apply.
Virendra, I visited your facility near Dahej. You have been disrupting as NextGen. I would also call you as a NextGen leader in the infrastructure space. So how are you disrupting this infrastructure space, if you can talk about your company?
Yeah, sure. So basically, I will start with what Meghav has mentioned. So this year report only that McKinsey has presented on the Indian manufacturing chemical industry. So where they have compare global clusters against the India. So there has been a various parameters that has been there. So like cost of labor, there's approvals and all. Now, from the India perspective, there are two important parameters on which the India was lacking. The number one, which Meghav has mentioned, is basically the dearth of skilled R&D talent, which is there. And number two, which Kaushal has talked about in a different manner, in a different thing, is basically getting the timely approvals, land approvals, environmental clearances and all. Now, so what, as an industrial park developer, we are actually having a 9 industrial park, and out of that, the Dahej which you are mentioning, which is a 3,500 acres park. So if I can give you an option of, let's say, putting up your capex in a staggered way for your future expansion. So just imagine the cost advantages that an industry can have. The other thing is the infrastructure. The cost-effective utilities can be provided. So another aspect. Now when we talk about the infrastructure, power is there, water is there, then effluent of course is there. So let's take this example of waste management. Now at a park level, we have approximately 50 MLD approval of building this CETP plant. We have already started working 2500 KLD CETP plant that is there. Now what happened here also, then industry can get the advantage. Rather than putting up their own infrastructure thing, they can utilize this central utility corridor, and as per your today's requirement, you just have to pay for that. You don't have to pay for what is your future expansion. So your OPEX also goes down. Now, similarly, since this park is there, we are actually building a complete ecosystem. Now, here, an industry can also invite their key suppliers to build the entire value chain. Just imagine the kind of, thriving can happen here in this park. So we actually, in terms of infrastructure, we actually learn from the industry. Since we are outsider, we are a developer. We don't know, what is the specialty chemical. We actually hired experts and build our knowledge. And we are working on all the pain points that different industries facing. So that's how, we are trying to solve the problem. And the infrastructure, we have realized that, that is the main pain area in, expanding your plant basically.
Thank you, Virender. My next question to all of you is, there are three buckets which are very essential when we are looking at the future of chemical industry. One bucket is innovation, second bucket is sustainability, and the third bucket is digitalization, or you can call it digitalization/expansion. We have seen, say, Make Money Fine Chem coming out with new plants on a regular note. And because of, I'm talking more from a press release that we are getting regularly from your side. So how do you see these three buckets, and what's the vision that you do have? Because that will help us in trying to understand how new generation is thinking on these things, starting from me.
So looking at innovation, I would say Make Money Fine Chem still have to work a lot of work in R&D.
You are setting up a...
Yes, we are setting. That's why I said that. It's a nicer way to say that we have to do a lot of work in research and development. But innovation is a continuous process. So R&D has two aspects. One is that you create a breakthrough molecules, or something you do as per the routine, something you develop in process improvement also. So in process R&D is an ongoing thing which we have been doing. A lot of improvements have been done over there, and that will go on. Research and development, once a lab is established, obviously we'll able to come up with newer routes or synthesis or new molecules and all. That's the one aspect. ESG, yes, everybody's talking about the sustainability, and one expert is sitting over there, Mr. Manish Bhai. So he's the best one to talk about than me. But as I just mentioned a few minutes back, that if India has to reach to the global standard, then we can't ignore ESG. India, many manufacturers have compromised in chemical allied sector on the environmental front, but now those days are gone. And if you want to compete on the global level, then we have to respect ESG norms, and we have to work on that, we have to follow on that. So there is no shortcut over there. It's a tough exercise, but as I said, we have to do it. And MFL is in that journey, and that's the first step. We got the responsible care also. Let's hope that this part will evolve more and more. Coming back to digitalization, most of the plants are DCS based, so that's the first step to collect the data. Because if you don't have a data, then digitalization will not work. We are on ERP. That's another. So ERP takes care of the non-plant activities, and the DCS takes care of the plant-based activities. So yes, those data is available with us, and we are working on various aspects of digitalization. But I feel that we are a bit far away from adopting those technologies. Because that mindset has not been developed from top to bottom. And it will take some time to get the right results and right benefits, because there are so many things on the plate. When you go to any conferences, there are so many people are offering various things, various tools, but which is the right one and which will yield the benefit? For that, I think we are still a little bit early, but India is always leapfrogged in all the aspects. So if you ask about chloralkali, and Ankur Singh did talk about 2 sessions back that, world was at a mercury level diaphragm cell technology, but India jumped from mercury straight to the membrane-based technology. We are talking about 2G and moved straight to the 4G. There was no 3G. You know, from landline to cell phone. The same thing is bound to happen digitalization also. How? I don't know, but that's my forecasting.
Yeah, on innovation, as I mentioned before also, there are three types of innovation, basically product innovation, process innovation, and you can say even innovation in marketing, you know. Now we see companies like Pidilite today, you know, they have grown leaps and bounds. If you see product is Fevicol, but the way they have changed the norm today, I think companies like 3M appreciate. So, you know, I think we work, a lot of companies work on process, then product, but I think we can also work on marketing innovation because typically I've seen, I did my education in US, American companies are very strong in marketing, whereas in India we lack, whatever the reason may be, that branding you can say, marketing, but I think that adds value to your product because finally it's the price differential which makes the difference, you know. Same product Indian company or a same product global company selling, there can be a $1 differential and that can be a huge differential. So I think innovation can be categorized on these three. We are working mainly on product innovation at Savradeep and process. However, I think marketing innovation is something that we have to learn from the global companies. Second is sustainability, as you mentioned, definitely is very important and is very dear to us. We have been working on zero discharge, zero emission, on zero wastage whenever we design a product. And it's a continuous journey, you know, you have to keep on evolving. And as you said, sustainability is not only about product, but it's also about the people and how we give back to the society. So we always believe that, you know, it's our responsibility as entrepreneurs to also give back to the society and have a short 1 minute video. Mr. Prashantji, if you could arrange to...
Please run the video.
That is something we have just recently given back to the society. We would like to just share with everybody.
Acharya Sri Jaisakar Suri ji motivated us to donate for Bhojansala and Aradhna Bhavan at Lonavala. We liked the project because the situation is excellent on Bombay-Pune Road. The concept of Bhojansala is unique. It has 6,000 square feet area and 2,000 square feet kitchen where 300 people can dine together. They will serve breakfast, lunch and dinner. Dinner will be before sunset. Here anybody can utilize the Bhojansala without caste and creed, and fresh food will be served here. Jain saint travel by walking. Aradhna Bhavan will be utilized fully by Jain saint male and female. That is why Savradeep Chemical Industry Private Limited decided to donate for Bhojansala and Aradhna Bhavan. We expect 4,000 saints will visit the complex because the complex is unique where the temple is situated just near the Aradhna Bhavan.
So this was just a smart sustainability, you know. When we think it's not only about us, if we can impact the society, I think that is one of the areas that we look into it. And third, what you mentioned, digitization. It's an ongoing journey and we have implemented ERP at the early stages, but I think it's an ongoing journey, a lot of things to be learned with AI and cloud computing. I think we are still at the nascent stages, but I think digitization is the way ahead. Thank you.
Other than, of course, CSR and charitable organization, Deepak Foundation, and the service that we're doing, at a operational level, our focus on improving our performance is, I mean, it's a double whammy, right? You get your cake and eat it too. We are constantly focusing on power, steam, and water consumption across the factories. We are ensuring that if we can optimize that, we're not wasting that, then our cost, I mean, our product metric ton per unit of power, per metric ton of water, per metric ton of steam, all of this is optimizing in itself automatically. And we're introducing newer concepts of advanced process control and things like that, which are kind of like taking over the DCS controls using algorithms, so that the optimization of each instrument, control instrument, is done in sync in a manner of right now the control room would be a band, but with our autonomous with our advanced process control, it becomes kind of like an orchestra where there's lots of instruments and each one in sync with the other, being conducted very smoothly through the APC. So, when we talk about innovation and sustainability and digitization, it's looking at the same problem from just different lenses, from different angles. And I think that's, when we just hinting to the DEI conversation earlier, the more perspectives we are able to bring into this conversation, the more innovative ideas are coming up. So when we have plant people look at advanced process control, of course, for them, they are able to drive better, production norms. When we are looking at this from a health and safety standpoint, that yes, this is reducing our risk over there. When finance comes and looks at it, they say that yes, okay, this is a worthwhile investment for us to make, not just at one side, but across all of them. When we are bringing in even the sales and marketing team members, they feel very proud that, hey, look, we are innovating so much. This is something that our customers really value about us, right? That they are able to, give greater confidence in terms of the quality and the predictability with which we can produce and provide to our customers. So, while we may say that there are what about this, element, what about that element, but they're really all just looking at the same problem about how we are making ourselves more efficient. And the thing I've been telling my teams over the past many years, I would say, is that just try to be that 1% better every day. And that 1% better, 1% incremental improvement is not very difficult to achieve. But once you do, and you do it consistently over a year, a couple of years, you start to see that your baseline has jumped significantly, and you're all the better for it as an organization.
Thank you, Meghav. Now I come to Virender. And when do we see a plug and play kind of an infrastructure? Because whenever you go to GIDC or any chemical industry park, and the manufacturers are looking at everything is ready. I visited Singapore Housing Development Board quite a few years back as a journalist. And when I went there, everything was ready. The road, the infrastructure, the lights, everything was ready. But there were no people. In India, it is just the opposite. I was taking this analogy just to explain you the context, and I think everybody has understood it. So why, and why I am saying you, Virender, is if you can do that, P by RT, you will win the race. That's how you will disrupt the market. So your views on how you're planning to give a plug and play for because we are looking at a 1 trillion economy coming from chemical sector, and even US, 25% of GDP comes from the chemical sector. So we can also do that. Presently, we are on a lower side. So if that can happen, Like you talked about sewage treatment plant, you talked about water, which you're already providing. But even say the training, say some calibration labs, if all these things are being in one place, it becomes extremely easy for mid-level companies. Large companies can definitely look at a bigger, but mid-level companies will definitely benefit a lot. So your views?
Fine. I believe you have seen our plan as well. So similarly, you have talked about it. And this model, actually, we keep on learning from last couple of years. And I think we can't do it alone. The industry have to partner with us. Then it is possible. Because we need to understand from the industry point of view. Like one example of the plug and play model, I told you, like, in the, and this is a phase one, which I mentioned about the 2500 KLD. It will go up to 50, MLD. That will be. Similarly, in power you have, electricity you have, the water you have. In terms of, I mean, if you are currently visiting this park, so this is just the initial phase and phase one. So, you will see that there is a connectivity to the plant has been developed. So roads has been developed. The water has been being provided at the industry doorstep. So these kind of steps which we are taking. Now I will tell you one pain point. Now here, environmental clearance is a pain point that has been there. At a park level, we have taken this environmental clearance, and because of which what happened, the industry can get the auto terms of reference. And their, the approval process will get faster. Now just imagine, generally what happens, let's say if you want to set up an industry, you have to go through, the acquiring of the land, site evaluation, undertaking regulatory approvals, environmental clearance, and so on and so forth. If you take this time, it will take approximately 4 to 5 years before you are going to make your plant operational. Now in our case, because of all these steps and the plug and play model in infrastructure that we are taking, the time significantly reduces to 18 months. So within 18 months, you can see your plant operational because of the measures that we have taken. It's a huge, I mean, time is critical in chemical industry. Your capex, you can talk about the, the opex. I mean, an industry can come at a very early stage to the break-even point. So these kind of, the measures and the step that has been taken and which we are going to provide to the industry. Now here, how we are working towards it, our vision is basically to develop an industrial park destination with compelling infrastructure, of course at strategic location, but within a sustainable ecosystem for the economic and competitive advantage of all the industry and the stakeholders present. So I hope I answered.
No, I think you have answered it pretty good, and it's not that you are not providing these facilities. You are providing these facilities. That's the reason you are getting good traction in the market also, and plus your facility is not very far away from the highway. So I think it is 10 to 11 kilometers only, or even less than that. So let me wind up with another 30-second answer from all these stalwarts. McKinsey reports talks about US dollar 1 trillion from the chemicals sector. My question is, there is no to it. Your suggestions of how to make that happen, just 3 points from 3 of you, it will make 9. And if Virendra can add one more, it will be 10 points. So now Manishji has given you a task also.
So yes, I think it's, the $1 trillion chemical industry is not going to come on its own. It's the entire ecosystem, manufacturing, innovation, manufacturing, supply chain, everything has to come in line with this. Some time ago, we also had the opportunity to speak with IIMM and the Material Management Institutes, and they were also asking what is the role of supply chain in this, and I said that just do whatever you guys are doing, just do it better, and that's kind of the ask from our current government to everybody. Whatever it is that you're doing, just do it better. Think of more of what you can do. Think of better, how you can make it better. work with each other and support each other and really kind of, we have to do this together. It's not, one individual miracle company that will do this for us.
The most important thing is synergy among the industry players. Instead of fighting against each other, it's better we do the collaboration. That's the most important thing. And second point is the supply chain point, supply chain / infrastructure I would put it, because we need infrastructure across all the sectors, power, road, government related work, and then talent, to grab the talent, so at education front, everything. That's the two most important thing. And the third, I would say, which is actually should be the first one, the real support from the government to take things forward in the fastest manner. Government has done a lot of work behind the scene, but now to jump from this level to the next one, we require the next level of work from their side.
I think one other factor which is important is also scale. So we have very few chemical companies like we have here which have scale, but I think if more companies have a global scale, like how we see the BASF kind, something like here in India, I think we can definitely reach it much faster. Although it's very difficult to scale, but I think if companies take the initiative and scale up, I think India can come much faster. And another is educate children at a very young stage that chemical is an interesting field from the school level, because if you ask any person right now who is studying in school, they will say IT, finance, entertainment, these are the industry to be in. Chemical would be the last. So if we can put it from the, like BASF has a very good concept called Kids Lab. So something if we can do from the school level, I think definitely that will help, because if the next generation doesn't want to come in the chemical industry, it can't grow. It has to be a long-term vision, if you want to make chemical industry really what you mentioned, Thank you.
So I think the 9 points has been said. Coming to the 10th point is very difficult. But let's say I will put it in a different perspective. So, we are a park developer, and be it us, 3,500 acre park or any global cluster. Of course, the industries can set up their plant, but there are a lot of employment will be generated. So you have people working right from your industry to the lowest level worker. So for us, how we see it's an upliftment of all the people. They're getting a lot of employment. So we want to ensure that, of course, the number is $1 million or kind of stuff, but it's to facilitate the economic growth in any global chemical cluster that is there. So that should be the the end point that can work for everyone and all the people who are present there.
So let me add one more point from my side is I have been covering chemical industry for only last 4 to 5 years. And I was not aware that whatever that you see in and around, it is everything chemical. But when you talk to anybody, everybody says chemical is bad. So we need to do a lot of education from a B2C perspective, that without chemical, we cannot survive. The medicines or the pharmaceutical companies cannot survive. If pharmaceutical companies cannot survive, or if they cannot manufacture anything, how will we become more healthy if we so right from anything that we are seeing out in and around. So I think as a collaborative approach, the chemical industry needs to educate the end consumer that this is an important sector. It's just like without mobile phone, you cannot survive nowadays. With the speed of information and the speed of communication. So though it has an hazard, one has to live with that and move forward. So this is the final concluding remark. I hope I have tried to answer all your queries which you would have asked. So I have tried to ask on your behalf to all these gentlemen out here. If you still have questions, please raise your hand. And if you can be short and precise. And another 10 seconds, if you don't raise, I will try to wind it up. Okay, sir. Mike, please.
Having worked for about 13 years in Thailand, I see a very big difference in the industrial setup in countries abroad versus the industrial setup in India, mainly in context with the infrastructure. The biggest problem, I'm rather utilizing this forum to communicate something which I sometimes wonder how should we communicate to the right decision makers. Because every day I go to Gujarat Industrial Belt, GIDC so-called. The roads are broken, infrastructure is very poor. The so-called HR departments, they never visit the GIDC offices. Nobody is there to take care of how the infrastructure should be improved. So these decision makers are sitting here today, and they are the people who can drive these initiatives very nicely. This I am telling because when we used to invite somebody from, say, European countries or America or other countries, they used to wonder how Asian countries can provide us quality stuff. But when they used to visit, their perspective used to change. Then they had a different view that yes, they have improved a lot. They have a very quality-centered approach. So these things are missing somehow in Indian industry setup. And without that, having a dream of 1 trillion economy, that is something which. So my request is that if we can make our GIDCs more vibrant, if something can be done, then only these decision makers can maybe push those things to a different level. So it was not a question, but just a request.
Just a suggestion. I
Yeah.
think the IDC people are also not here. So, but it's a good suggestion, sir. If Brand India wants to get uplifted, I think that's the best way. And then things are improving, sir. Any revolution takes time, and we are seeing better infrastructure, better roads, and definitely, I'm optimistic that things will definitely improve. Any last views?
I think it was some time ago, but I was just shared that the reason that government infrastructure is so bad, not just the roads but even the offices that they work in, is there's this general sense of a lack of pride in their job. Now, call it what you may. On one side, we've also taken over the accountability of the roads adjacent to our factories, saying that there's water logging in the monsoon. We don't want to deal with that. And it's taking too long for them to come and fix it. So we've gotten permission to do our own thing. Right? Now, granted, some will say that no, that's their job. They're supposed to do that. But at the end of the day, we were the ones who were suffering. So we took accountability and, we fixed it to the best of our capability, till at least the point that we weren't feeling that pain. It was, financially it was a small matter. It wasn't that big. But yes, at a larger level, we need to make the officers, the GIDC officers, and it's not just GIDC, even in MIDC, similar situations. We have a unit in Hyderabad, again, very similar situation. But, if we don't make them feel proud of their job, they're not going to feel proud of their job, right? So it's one thing I've also started doing, and, it's, to make them feel like we are grateful for their work, for whatever effort they are putting in. We invite them out often enough so they have to kind of experience that journey and realize that, okay, these guys are trying to do a good job, let's try and give them better roads, let's try and give them better facilities. But yes, a little bit like, bringing a sense of gratitude, sense of respect back to, the officers, and making them feel proud of the work that they do and the effect it can have.
Thank you, sir.
I just want to add here. Megha has shared everything. But most important thing which I just talked about is a collaborative way. Yes, government also needs to improve in many aspects. So we as an industry also have to improve in many aspects. So, and a lot of work government has done it, but we don't acknowledge it. Yes, we do complain that we have to take a lot of approvals for X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D things, but whether approval place, do we utilize those things? Probably not. So I'll just give my example is that whereas we are manufacturing chloralkali products and those many of products, it's better is transfer through pipeline. But most of my customers don't exercise that right. Already GIDC has made a pipeline corridor. And why those companies don't exercise that power? Because they don't want to set up the pipeline on their own cost. They feel that I'll be locked if I buy only from make money. Or there are 8 chloralkali players in the cluster. It's not about me I'm talking, but it is a general Indian mindset. वो मुझे 50 पैसा ज़्यादा में देगा and I lose all my profitability. So when we have this thought process, how we can grow. So it starts from our own home, right? We have to, yes, it's very easy to point out at the government, but if you look at, do we have the basic hygiene good at our plants also, in our offices also, right? If it's not there, then it's why we are looking at outside first. Let us clean our house also first.
So I think it's over. You need to do the rest by clapping for them.